For those that are tuning in and watching this, watching the recording, my name is Kimberly Patterson. I am the program director and instructor for the Neurodiagnostic Technology program here at KCC. I have the privilege of working through the consortium. So that means we actually partner with 2 other colleges at the moment to offer this program. So we get a nice pool of students that way. And you may be in class with other classmates from different colleges, all doing the same thing. So it's a great program. I'm going to do a screen share here and kind of work through a PowerPoint. Hoping that all works well for me. 1 second. Okay. So this was actually from our first year. Welcome to Neurodiagnostic Technology. This is a little snapshot of what it would look like on the job. If you can see my mouse here, this is an EEG machine. And what I'm doing is actually getting this patient prepared for an EEG. So, which brings me to my next slide. There we go. So in this program, you will learn the 1020 International Marking System. You'll learn how to apply electrodes and how to record EEG. So this is a picture of actually one of my former students, her daughter. This is something that happens in our program. I get a lot of pictures like this, which is really fun. It's a fun way for me to get to know my students and their friends and family because we do home setups for practice. And so a lot of your patients and models will be your friends and family. So what actually is on her head with these electrodes is this system right here. This is the 1020 system that we learn how to place. And you wouldn't think so by the picture, but it's actually one of the hardest things that we have to learn. Takes a lot of practice to get it right. In this slide, this picture is flat, right? But our heads are round. And so it makes a whole different element of practice when you're putting it on somebody's head. So what is an EEG? EEG is an electroencephalogram. So an EEG is a study that measures the electrical impulses in the brain. A lot of people refer to it as a brainwave recording. This is a little picture here of some brainwaves that I added for those of you that have never seen them. We learn actually how to read all of these squiggly lines. So it becomes really interesting. At first glance, it seems like we'll never get it. We'll never be able to filter them out, but I promise it happens. It happens for all of us. But what exactly do, our program highlights? We are an associate's degree program. We do complete our program in 3 semesters, and that, of course, is after our prereqs. So we are a seated program. There are things that we have to do to be admitted. And then after that, we travel as one through the program in 3 semesters. So we start in usually the first week of September, and then we end mid-August. And we all travel together. So we can't take some classes now and then some, next year. We all take them together and we all move through that year. It actually moves really quickly. We're a hybrid. So we were a hybrid before COVID, which was really helpful when that whole thing happened. But we still actually remain hybrid even during the COVID crisis that we're in right now. Our academics are online, but we do have in-house face-to-face labs, and we do have clinicals. So we get together and I teach you how to do the hands-on piece and then send you home to do your practice, your home labs, and then you come on back and show me what you've done. And then we always have our online classes moving each semester. So you're kind of always doing both. There's a hands-on piece, there's a lot of online as well. When we start clinicals on the second semester, you'll have 3 different rotations. So you get to move through 3 different clinical sites. Clinical site could be at a hospital or at an outpatient facility, and you'll go to 3 different places. Could be very near your home, could be a bit of a hike, but we go for 2 days per week from January through August. And you accrue your clinical hours that way. Site visits are when I come to see you at your site. They have since kind of transformed into more of a Zoom visit together, but even when we aren't meeting face-to-face collectively as a class, I still come and visit you while you're at clinicals as well. We do offer some continuing education after graduation. There will be opportunities to collect continuing ed credits. We do a lot of board prep. So for our students, we take board exams after we're finished. So we do our best to prepare you for those. We have live lectures with neurologists, and at our clinicals, we offer multiple modality job shadows. So in addition to EEG, you'll see other skills that you'll learn how to do later on after you're hired. A little sneak peek of lab. This was lab actually during our first year. So you'll see you're going to work on mannequin heads. You eventually merge into working on your classmates, and then of course on your friends and family. I put a little pink note on here to see if you can spot any differences. So this was year 1. Everybody's sitting nice and close together, and we're in our scrubs. And as we've had to change a few things, as you'll see this year. This is actually taken this year. Everybody's in their gown, their masks, their full PPE. So we train our students for both inpatient and outpatient EEG recordings. We train as if we are in the hospital. So you will wear your scrubs and your gowns and your, of course, your masks and all of that. We take our PPE very seriously. We're doing our very best to keep everybody healthy. And this is just a prime example of what it'll be like when you actually go to work. So when you're actually on the job, this will kind of be your full garb for the time being anyway. At some point, we might be able to lose the gowns and masks, but who knows? We're not there yet. So I like this slide too, because it's showing, in addition to us training on each other, sitting in chairs, we also can offer the experience of more of a hospital setting with our hospital beds and that sort of thing. So we really do our best to adequately prepare for when you get to your clinical site. So you know what to expect, and it shouldn't be too new for you. This is one of our instructors. Her name is Sarah. We often as instructors get to hop into and get our own heads measured and get to be models ourselves. So we all get our turn. This next, I can kind of cruise through this part a little more quickly, but this is actually a little video of what it looks like to actually do an EEG. And so what I like about this is, for those that have never seen one, have no idea even kind of what it consists of, it just gives you a little snapshot. You know, this particular setting is in an actual EEG lab. It's actually at Michigan State University. This is actually what I would do in an outpatient setting. This is actually me hooking this patient up, and this is how I would do it at work. And so when I've mentioned the 1020 international marking system, that is actually what I'm doing to this gentleman here. So We go through the elaborate way of measuring and marking ahead. And this is the part that, you know, when you see all the electrodes on, it seems so simple, but when you're actually learning to do it, it takes a lot of practice. And so when you master that skill, you will cruise through it as quickly as I am here, but it certainly does not happen overnight. It takes a bit. So I can kind of go through this. Well, maybe I'll let it, it's not a terribly long video, but I can kind of cruise through it a little bit faster. Let's see. So I've gotten to the point here where the head has actually been measured, and now I'm starting with the electrode application. So you can see I'm pulling electrodes from a jack box over here, and then I'm prepping the skin and putting paste on the electrode to fix it to his head, actually. So all of those spots that I marked, I now go and prep those areas, apply electrodes, and get ready to record his brainwaves. So we'll kind of cruise through. You'll see as we go. If you can see how many wires there are over here, that's the part too that can be a bit of a daunting task when you see like just how many are going on. There are a lot. We are currently training for 26 electrodes to be placed, but at your clinical sites and wherever you may work, they may go as high as 34 electrodes per patient. So we'll kind of through a little bit faster. So you'll see at the very end here, I have all the electrodes on, and don't mind the terrible camera. But this is what we're aiming for, brainwaves. So that's what we do. We go through this kind of long process of measure, mark, and application. And then the end result is that we get to see brainwaves. And then we go through a recording. There's all kinds of fun things that we do throughout that. And then ultimately we're training our students to provide excellent recordings for our neurologists to read. Let's see. Other cool stuff about having a job as a neurodiagnostic technologist. So we have multiple places of employment options. Used to be that we basically worked in hospitals, and that has since changed a lot. If you can kind of compare it to the opportunities that a nurse would have as far as travel tech, you can work in an outpatient setting. You can actually even go in people's homes and do their EEGs. There are also other opportunities where once you learn how to record and read brainwaves, that you can do it from home, monitoring brainwaves from the hospital, but doing it from your home and just, reading screens if that's something that, is exciting for you. We have opportunities to cross-train in several modalities. So, and I put in parentheses without going back to school, because we basically start at EEG. So EEG is home base. You master that skill, you get credentialed in that. And then when you go to work, your place of employment will very likely offer several other modalities that you are now qualified to also do. So you're qualified to do them. They will train you on the job how to do them. So there are not many EEG techs that only record EEGs. Most EEG techs actually record several other types of studies, and they learn those studies on the job. So but it certainly depends on where you work. So transcranial Dopplers, that's actually an ultrasound of some arteries in your brain. I actually learned how to do those as a cross train. Autonomic studies, same thing. You learn that in the EMG world, which is this also for the NCS, which is nerve conduction. Specs and WADAs, you will see a lot for epilepsy monitoring, the same as IOM, which is intraoperative monitoring. EEG techs do go into the operating room. So we can go in and do nerve monitoring. We can go in and monitor brainwave recordings during actual surgery. PSG is sleep studies. A lot of sleep techs also cross-train into EEG and vice versa. Generally, if you want to work nights, well, there's certainly a lot of opportunity to work nights in EEG, but a lot of techs will cross-train that way as well. So sleep and EEG. There's some similarities, but certainly some differences also. Another thing, after you go to school for neurodiagnostic technology, because we are KHEP accredited, that will also grant you the opportunity to get credentialed in those other modalities without going back to school. So I could go and sit for my boards in nerve conduction because I went to a KHEP accredited school for EEG. So I would train on the job for that modality. I would train, I would self-teach for the boards, and then I could take those board exams also. So there's a lot of opportunity to stack up as many credentials as you want without actually having to go back to the classroom every time. So you can really make yourself as marketable as you like. If you want to have all those letters behind your name and be credentialed in several things, there's plenty of opportunity for that. If you're the kind of person that says, nah, I'm really good, I just kind of want to work per diem and I don't really need to work much, I just want to do a little bit here and there. Awesome. We have opportunity actually in pretty much all fields in that way. Our shifts can be, we work day shift, night shift, weekends, per diem, on call. It just all depends on where you work and what kind of work you're looking to do. So one of the things that I like about that is when I kind of reflect on my career, I think about different times in my life where different shifts were appealing to me. There are times that I wanted to work from home. There are times that I wanted to work, a lot and pick up as many extra hours as I could. You really have an opportunity, like you would in many other healthcare fields, to have a shift that really suits your lifestyle. So that is something that is incredibly appealing. I do have to say, though, this program is not for those that aren't motivated to work hard. So it is a seated program. The hands-on skill set is challenging. It may not appear to be that challenging from that little snippet of video I showed you, but it really does require a lot of practice. Because our academics are online, the expectation for our students to have that self-motivation to recognize if they're struggling and reach out for help, or recognize that they need to practice maybe more than one of their classmates. It's really important. There's a lot of responsibility on the student to be responsible for their success. So if that means extra hours of practice, that's what we need to see. I'll also say, though, that the hard work comes with great reward. We are in high demand. Currently, 100% of our techs have been hired. Having said that, my only little asterisk is that last year I had 2 students that didn't actually apply for anything because they didn't actually want to work during that time with all of the COVID stuff. So I have a couple of students that chose not to work, but everyone that wanted to work has been hired. So We do not have a hard time finding jobs at this point. We are very much in demand. A lot of that is because our program is not offered in that many places. So our skill set is tough. It's not something that can be, easily taught. And so when the program first started, there were about 26 schools in the entire United States. And so having a KHEP accredited school is a really big deal. Since then, there are some schools that are exclusively online. They do have a clinical experience, but they don't have any hands-on, like face-to-face classroom opportunities like we do. And that may, that is appealing for some and not for others. We've had a really great experience with finding work for our techs, and actually really not even needing to just stay in Michigan. So I get emails weekly from healthcare facilities across the whole US asking for students, asking for workers. So if it's appealing for you to go to school now and then move out of state, there's a ton of opportunity. Places like Mayo Clinic are sending multiple emails asking for our students. So that's been really a great success for us. Our starting wage is excellent. We have our program takes about a year to complete after your prereqs. My students start out between $22 and $25 an hour. After their registry, they can expect to get about a 5% raise and then continue to move upwards from there. So when I talked about adding those other modalities and learning those other skill sets, those are other opportunities to actually make more money as well. When you pick up another skill set or you pick up another registry, you can also expect to pick up a higher paycheck, right? So the more you're adding, the more you should be getting paid. Of course, saving lives is pretty neat. I gotta say, in our world, we work with a lot of patients that have epilepsy. We see a lot of seizures. Our job is to recognize those seizures. Sometimes our patients are having a seizure that actually isn't ending. If we don't recognize that and alert the appropriate staff, then that patient may not make it. Our job is incredibly important. We are still CPR trained and ready to jump in for any emergency that the hospital may ask us to help out with. We work closely with several other departments, nursing and neurology teams. I did put our website on here. It's going to look a little different. I am sure that KCC has one also, but this is the consortium website that has has some more information about prereqs and our class schedule and that sort of thing. So let's see. That is all that I have for my slides. I would be happy to field any questions if there are any.
That was all excellent. Yeah, really good information to hear. It's really exciting, especially 100% job rate. That's pretty epic to boast about, right?
Yeah, who doesn't like that?
Yeah. So yeah, could you maybe talk a little bit about I know the lecture content is online and it's a hybrid model. Could you talk a little bit about like the ratio of online to in-person work and what that looks like?
Yeah, so for first semester, it's 3 online classes. And then your 4th class is lab, and that would be the in-person class. Now we do meet face-to-face, but we don't meet every week.
Okay.
So there are 6, actually we did add another. So for this cohort, we have 7 face-to-face labs during the first semester.
Okay.
So, and then second and third semester, Always the same with the online classes. You have about 3 each semester. And then your clinical class is going to be the class that you actually go to work for 2 8-hour shifts per week.
Okay, very good.
Yep. I do have to always say you got to be ready to travel. So sometimes students are always looking like, I just want to, go to clinical here at my home hospital. And a lot of times, with having 3 rotations, that does work out where one of them can be one that's really close, but we are spread out all across Michigan. The beauty of that is that it's very interesting how different things can be from site to site. It really opens your mind to the place that you want to work and the atmosphere at different places. So
gives you experience to know what different places look like, right? When you're looking for a future job.
Different, all kinds of different personality types, different products. I mean, even though we're doing the same thing, some sites may, use some different products, and you find like, oh, I really like that, and I want to use that when I go to my, my job. I mean, different tips and tricks that you learn along the way. We do have a couple sites that are pediatric only. So it's a very different ball game when you have an adult patient versus a pediatric patient.
I'm sure, yeah. Trying to get the stand still so you can put all your measurements and everything else on. I'm sure that's a unique challenge.
So it definitely adds an element. It's a little, you have to really be a multitasker sometimes for the little ones, but
absolutely.
How to do it.
Yeah, you got to get it done.
Yep.
I also have, so a lot of times when I see students, they think, okay, I know I want to do medical for various reasons, but I don't like blood. Yeah. So, I've had a lot of students interested in this program for that. Do you feel like that's a pretty, a good apt description of this program? It's good for the medical field. It's good. You can help save lives, but you're not going to be, regularly exposed to bodily fluids. I'm sure, it comes up.
Yeah. Well, so you don't see the amount of blood that you would in nursing.
Right.
When we see blood, it's more post-surgical.
Gotcha.
So our patients, it would not be if somebody were to have a seizure during surgery and they come back, they may have had a craniotomy. So they may have a big, scar here. You might see some drains and that sort of thing. We do work in the ICU. We work, EEGs are non-invasive. And so they're ordered pretty readily for any kind of cranial issue. Like maybe you just had a loss of consciousness. Maybe you were in a car accident though, and you had a head injury. We're not causing the blood, but sometimes it's there.
Sure.
You're definitely not going to see that in like an outpatient setting. But in the hospital, you are exposed to quite a bit of, but that's kind of the same in any of our healthcare programs. I mean, you're going to see some of it, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Because that kind of comes up in the radiography session too, you don't think radiography, you would deal with blood, but if they have like you're in the ER, right? And something comes in, they need it like right there.
You betcha.
Yeah.
There are things that and then of course, if you go into the OR, you're definitely going to see it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I mean, having said that, I was one that said, I don't really like blood. And I can definitely say it does not bother me now.
Okay.
I was a little apprehensive to go into the OR for that reason. I thought I was a little nervous I was going to pass out, actually, because I wasn't sure how I was going to respond, I definitely did not pass out. I was totally fine. And then you just get, acclimated to that sort of thing. And the cool things, I mean, I can say that I've actually been in the operating room when someone's having brain surgery. I mean, how wild is that?
That's pretty cool.
When we go in for brain, if someone's having brain surgery, it's because they're putting electrodes directly on their brain. Like, that's wild. So we get to see stuff like that too. And then we actually monitor their brain waves with the electrodes like implanted on their actual brain. I mean, so it just depends on where you work as to what you're going to see. So there's so many different opportunities and so many different just things you can do with this. It's amazing. People don't realize it, but we
Mhm.
really are exposed to a lot of different things in healthcare, and you can make this career as big as you want.
Yeah, very cool.
Hmm.
Well, I guess my last question, I think, would be, I know you talked about one of the criteria for students interested is that, you want to be hardworking. But for those students who are kind of, undecided, kind of figure out what they want, what is like the ideal person that would be a really good fit for this kind of career path?
Ideally, somebody who has done a job shadow in this.
Good.
I
Mhm.
think the best advice I can give you if you're on the fence and thinking about it, we have places we can send you to just go shadow. Check it
Yeah,
out. Um, you need to be somebody that is okay with the close proximity of strangers,
sure.
basically. So if you recall from my video, I was standing like directly behind the patient. Um, you have to touch them. You have to be close. So if you're the kind of person that's like, I don't know, strange, that is that could be a hurdle.
Hmm.
Um, it's also too like just being able to talk to people that you don't know. I think it's different when you put on your scrubs and your name tag. I think it's a lot easier to you know talk to people you don't know and get the information you need and kind of feel at ease about that. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend the job shadow. Go and see what it's like. I can show you videos of EEGs all day long, and it's never
Hmm.
going to be the same as if you are in the room watching it and saying, can I see myself doing this? This is something that would interest me. Another thing that I like about our field is that it's ever changing. And so I have zero time to get bored in what I do. So you finally think you've got something nailed, and then it's like, oh, we're changing the terminology. Oh, we're gonna add the okay. Oh, that's not working anymore. Now we're gonna go. So you're always learning, always, always, always learning. And hopefully, when you graduate and get hired, you are surrounded by people that love to teach because there's just so much to learn. And there's different opinions about things. I mean, it wouldn't be uncommon for two neurologists to have a different opinion on what they see.
Mm.
Which also it makes it a great talking point. This is what I think, and this is why. Oh, this is what I think, and this is why. So
Hmm.
um, it's incredibly interesting if you're interested in the brain. I know when I was in school and anatomy classes and that sort of thing, most people were interested in cardiac. Like they love the heart. Oh, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, but it didn't really spark anything in me. But going into the neuro world, because there's so many, yes, you have like brain anatomy and that sort of thing, but there's also a psychology component,
Hmm.
things that we do. And so that's a whole nother thing. Okay, so we have the physical things that are happening, and then you have these emotional reactions. I mean, there's a lot. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, and if you like people, um, we work on all age groups. So, and I mean premature baby on up to geriatric. So
Wow.
we'll go into the hospital I worked, we called it the RNU, but most places call it the NICU. But premature babies, you'll definitely put EEG on them. And very premature sometimes.
Mm.
So it's sad, but it's also rewarding because you feel like, you were there to help.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's vast in the patient population. You'll see people that are very, very sick, and you'll see people that walk in are totally, totally fine, healthy. They had to, like they passed out the other day, and they're just making sure things are okay. And then, your next stop might be the ICU. So you see a lot.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Hmm. So if I put that website on, and then I'm sure that KCC has all kinds of information out there. Certainly happy to, point people in a direction for job shadows if they would like to do that.
Very good to know.
And we are going to make that part of our process in the application process. But even if they're just considering it and they're not even sure they want to go an application route, I mean, do a job shadow.
Yeah, I'll send them your way. It sounds like you have some
Yeah.
good connections for that.
Oh, I have plenty.
Well, very good. Yeah, and if anyone watching this is interested in this program and wants to kind of know how your credits that you already have, or you want to start your college career and want to know kind of what you should be taking right now to kind of prepare for this, feel free to reach out. My name is Caleb Osbury. You can get a phone appointment right on my calendar by calling our office at 269-965-4124. I'd be happy to meet with you.